All right, Antoine, break down that final possession for me. What did you make of Iggy having the ball and what he decided to do with it?
It comes down to a team that's been there before, players that's been in the finals before, and you saw the inexperience come out with the Toronto Raptors. For them not to get a foul in front of their bench, I mean, it's ridiculous. You have to get a foul right there. And you can see Nick Nurse, and the coaches telling them to foul, but nobody on the floor picks this up. The thing, it reminded me, and it's maybe not as serious, but it reminds me of the J.R. Smith play, that guys don't understand the time and situation. You got to know the game when you're out on the floor. Somebody on that floor should know that they needed to foul. Obviously, you don't want to foul Steph Curry, but anybody else touches that basketball, you have to put that on. You have to foul them, and they came up short. Those plays right there cost you the finals. Those are the type of games that cost you the whole series because you can't recover from that when you work so hard to get back in the game. And not to give yourself an opportunity at the end of the game for them to be the one to make free throws. It hurts because you don't know what could have happened. They got the ball, and the right people saying Sean Livingston had it right there. Then you got Andre Iguodala right there. Two guys that are not great free throw shooters, and they came up short. So I don't know. You watch Nick Nurse's interview, and he kind of act like it wasn't a big play in the game. It was a huge play because you had an opportunity where you didn't play particularly well in the fourth quarter and had a chance to make it a one-possession game and blew it.
Most of the time, you don't want the game to boil down to one play. And Nick Nurse, I thought he did a good job in the press conference after the game avoiding it as if to make it a big deal because you can make your players look bad. Because coming out of the huddle, this is what they told him. We're going to try to go for the steal. We're going to double-team Steph, try to get the ball out of his hand. All right, once he gets out of his hand, we don't get the steal, we're going to foul. If you can foul Iggy, if you can foul Sean Livingston, foul them. And you can see with 16 to 18 seconds, when Sean Livingston gets the ball by the bench, you can see the coaching staff, to your point, telling them to foul him. And then once the ball gets reversed around, then now you're playing just for one play. You're playing for him to miss that shot, you to call timeout, race down, and to make a buzzer beater. But no, let's make the game longer. Foul them there. Livingston's not a clutch player. He's not used to being on the court shooting free throws. In his 15-year career, I guarantee we can go back, and I guarantee he don't have a bunch of, in the last minute of the game, how many free throws did he win to be able to try to extend the lead?
Those would have been the biggest free throws of his career. Those would have been among, if not the biggest free throws of Draymond's career. If you're down 3, they're down 2. If you're down 3 in that spot with a 4-second differential, you can make the argument you don't foul. Because then they only need to make 1 to make it a 2-possession game. I still would foul, but you can make the argument. But down 2, everyone has to know you play exactly this defense. You trap Steph, force the ball out of his hands, and hope he gives it up. That ball went to Draymond, then Livingston, then back to Draymond. Steph touches it, then back to to Livingston, back to Iggy. You had 5 opportunities to foul someone who the odds are is not going to make both free throws. So the Raptors screwed that up. And then I felt like the Warriors gave them a chance because I don't think Iggy's supposed to take that shot. I think Iggy is either supposed to wait longer. If he wants to, it's a little risky. But Draymond's so far out of the frame, he's almost behind half court. You'll see him. You'll see it over here. If he just throws a pass up to Draymond, Draymond can take all the time, and then all he has to do is draw iron, and the game's over. I didn't think that was a good shot by Iggy, but he made it so it's an all-time great shot.
It was a bad shot. You got in that situation, Andre Iguodala, he should dribble it out right there. He can hold it. Even if he tucks it, you got to hold. They didn't even come running after him. He could have probably ran the whole clock out with the ball in his hands. If you really look at that play, they never come chase Andre Iguodala at all. He could have held the ball if he wanted to. It's a bad shot that went in, and those are the moments you live for. You can't get mad. Right. There's nothing Steve Kerr. They're going to talk about it. It's going to say it's a great shot. But in those situations, and you don't think he will make that type of mistake, being that he's been in the finals as many times he has, MVP of the finals. You don't think he will make that mistake, but he made the shot, so you make up for it.
So let's talk about the rest of the game. Klay got hurt in this game. Kevon Looney got hurt in this game. Steph Curry had a real tough time right off the bat. I don't think he scored for the first, 6 minutes or whatever it was. They went on a couple of runs back and forth. Despite all that, how did the Warriors win this game?
I think first you got to start with the adjustment of starting Boogie Cousins. I thought was huge to give him an opportunity. And Cris, you understand, anybody that's been hurt, especially in your leg, you take the warm up to get loose and get yourself together. And coming off the bench, I think, Nick, you talked about this. It's hard for any player to come off the bench. I think when he started them, it gave him a confidence, a certain swagger. Now he's back in the starting lineup. I thought he played great. I think also Klay Thompson heard some of the rumblings that he needs to pick it up. He was ultra aggressive early on, trying to get his shot.
Making tough shots.
Yes, he was. You saw that in the first quarter, keeping his team in the game when Toronto was making their run early on. And then the adjustments. I think Steve Kerr did a terrific job. We talked about him playing so many guys, but he played 11 guys and got production out of 10 guys, scored the basketball. And then, obviously, you can see a team that's been to the finals in that core group. I mean, you got 34 assists. I mean, the way they move the basketball, the way they share it, all those things played a big part in why Golden State was able to win this game.
To me, Boogie Cousins, too, and it took over in the second half. In the first half, he was spot duty, played 5 minutes first quarter, 5 minutes in the second quarter. But in the second half, where they needed an offensive punch, passing the basketball to be able to let them be able to run their system, to me, that was the biggest difference. They're assisting. 38 field goals, 34 assists, had 22 field goals the second half. I know you don't know nothing about this because you shoot the basketball. 22 field goals the second half, all assisted on.
It's unbelievable.
That's teamwork to make the dream work. That's also championship experience, but it's relying on your teammate for his skill level. And for this moment, Boogie Cousins, the biggest of his career, he was outstanding.
It's the highest assist percentage in a playoff game, Cris, in 20 years. I mean, 34 of 38 is almost impossible. To go 100% in the second half, it's truly unheard of in a playoff game, much less an NBA Finals game. But the people are going to point out two separate moments in this game. The 18-0 run to start the second half, and then the drought at for the second half of the fourth quarter. I'm going to key in on a different moment. The Raptors were up 11 with 100 seconds left in the first half with the ball. If they go into halftime with a 13-point lead, with a 14-point lead, things are so different. If they can just keep the double-digit lead like they had in Game 1, 10-point lead at the halftime. Instead, they had empty possession after empty possession, and the Warriors all of a sudden go on a quick little 9-3 run to where they went into halftime, I'm sure, thinking, man, nobody other than Klay is playing great, and we're right there. We're 2 possessions down with the ball to start the third quarter, and that, to me, is what propelled them on that run. And on that run, Cris, you mentioned this earlier, you thought Nick Nurse took a timeout a few possessions late. He waited until it was a 14-0 run to take that timeout. Maybe a more seasoned coach and experienced coach at 7-0 recognizes, guys, this could get away from us quick. He waited a little bit, and at that point was already away from him.
I just thought he should have called a timeout because they couldn't make a shot. I would get me out of bounds, call me a good play to be able to get me a good look to try to get me a bucket.
Yep, something to the basket.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.